Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs Heat Check Podcast Live. It's Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. I'm your host, Chris Patrick, with Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman. Holy smokes, guys, do we have a lot to talk about. Just a quick rundown. Your Phoenix Mercury are going to the NBA Finals as they've defeated the Minnesota Lynx 3-1. Your Arizona Cardinals announced they will build a new headquarters and training facility in Phoenix, finally moving out of Tempe after all these years. We're going to share our quick thoughts on the first 4 weeks of the Arizona Cardinals season, along with our expectations for week 5 and onward. Torey Lovullo will stay one more year at least as your manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And we got a few more stories that we may or may not get to, time depending on it. But please, while you're here watching, if you're with us live or on the replay, please like and subscribe right here on YouTube. If you're listening on audio only, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you could give us a like and a sub there as well. Share the show with your friends. Follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and so much more. All of our links can be found in the description below. But without further ado, gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? What's going on?
Gentlemen, I'm a little overwhelmed by how much there is to talk about in the Valley right now. But man, it's great to be an Arizona sports fan. But maybe not so great to be VSP Tallman because it doesn't seem like Jake Browning is really helping you out there, bud. Huh? I told you this was going to go down to the wire, man. Both the Cincinnati Bengals and Cardinals are 2-2. It's going to go down to the wire.
I already got a pre-stream bud from Chris. What the hell, man?
That's why I had to double down on it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a couple buds in a 15-minute span. Yeah, no, that bet's really backfiring, Michael. Really, it truly is. It truly is. But fellas, feeling good. It's Tuesday, refreshed. I got my first Jonas Brothers concert under my belt at 31 years old.
Had a first of many?
Day. No, hey, shit, who knows, man? Who knows? This is exciting times right now. Weekend was good. Finally won a goddamn sports bet, which is incredible. But yeah, feeling good.
Tallman, I'm glad you brought that up because we were talking a little bit yesterday about our bets and some of our wins and losses from the weekend, and we both shared a key contributor to a major loss in a touchdown score parlay. Ours were a little similar, but not exactly the same. You had a 6-leg parlay where you hit 5 of the 6. I had a 5-leg parlay that I hit 4 of the 5. And the lone wolf there being Nick Chubb. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on my never bet again list. And in the NFL, so far, Nick Chubb has found his way on there, as well as Jacoby Myers. But there is an opportunity for redemption, and Jonathan Taylor has found his way off of the never bet again list. So
I didn't know it was possible to find yourself off the list. This is news to me, Chris.
There's a way. There's always a way off.
There's always a way.
Well, okay, here's my question to you guys. Where did you bet? Where did you place those bets? Because DraftKings has been doing that special ghost parlay. If you miss one leg, it does pay out. It just takes off the odds from that. Did you place it on DraftKings? No, you didn't.
No, obviously.
We're FanDuel guys over here.
Yeah. FanDuel's so much better than DraftKings. I'm sorry.
As I'm getting my feet a little bit more wet into the gambling world, I'm probably leaning more towards that way as well because, good Lord, can you not find rushing plus receiving on any games in DraftKings, which is absolutely ridiculous. All I want to do is put 80 yards for Christian McCaffrey, and I can't do that. Let's get with the times, DraftKings. It's time to go.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why I went full-time over to FanDuel. Because the 3 I would use was FanDuel, DraftKings, and Caesars Sportsbook, which Caesars is all right too. But FanDuel definitely has, I feel, the most options. And that rush plus rec, Mike, is one that I tend to frequent. But this is not a sports betting podcast as much as Tallman would love for it to be. Maybe in the future we'll get one of those rolling. But let's get right into.
I don't think anyone wants to watch that. It took me to week 4 to get my first win. So, but
Tallman, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that will watch sports betting. This is bad because obviously we're not giving up. I'm not. People watch to get their confirmation of their bets, so they want to hear someone else say this is a good bet, so they can feel comfortable going into their bet. So I'm just saying, there's a market. I don't know if we're ready to tap it, but what we are ready to tap in is to the Phoenix Mercury heading to the WNBA Finals once again. probably the most successful professional sports team in the Valley, except for maybe the Rattlers, if you can count that. Depends. I know a lot of people don't like to get out of the umbrella of the Big Four, but you got to give credit where credit's due. And the Phoenix Mercury, in what was supposed to be somewhat of a rebuild year and a reshaping of their identity, they've upset the number one team in the entire WNBA and have punched their ticket in just 4 games of a 5-game series. And we're able to do so here at home, which was also fucking awesome. Mike, what is your immediate reaction to the Mercury heading back to the finals?
Man, it's something special. I mean, Chris, you already touched on it. This was supposed to be kind of a rebuild / retool year. You know, their main weapons that they brought in have not been a part of this franchise ever. You obviously look at Alyssa Thomas, who should be a front runner for the MVP for sure. Satu Sabali, who is absolutely coming to her own. You know, Kalia Cooper. Even ladies like Dewana Bonner, who was a long-term piece in this franchise, but hadn't been around for a long time, and bringing her in, you know, proved dividends halfway through this season. But that game 4, that fourth quarter specifically, obviously was special. Down 13 going into the fourth, Dewana Bonner hits 2 late threes, including a logo shot, guys. Like, it was crazy. And then Alyssa Thomas just did what she's done all year long, 23 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. And Satu had 21 points, shooting great from deep. But for the Lynx, what really proved costly was the injury to Napheesa Collier, obviously. I mean, Kayla McBride did everything she could, shot 6 of 11 from deep, the absolute career high for her, and 31 points. But it's just kind of funny to see how, though there's specific franchises, and Nate Tibbetts even came through it and basically said, you know, you control the controllables. We're not here to criticize refereeing, and we just have to play and do what we can, because those other things are out of our control. And what did you see from the Minnesota Lynx as soon as game 3 finished, right? You got head coach, what's her name? Cheryl Reeve, screaming at fans. Literally cursing out fans, which was crazy. I don't remember the last time I've seen an outburst like that in a sport other than baseball, I would say. She got fined $15,000, which is crazy as well. But then Napheesa Collier doubled down and basically said, in regard to the WNBA and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, that we have the worst leadership in the world. So it's awesome to see the Phoenix Mercury come out on top within this scenario, because I don't know that there's a lot of speculation in regard to the play from Alyssa Thomas where she stripped Napheesa, and people are on both sides. Was it a foul? Was it not? Whatever. At the end of the day, you have to fight through adversity within any sport. And the Phoenix Mercury did that multiple times in multiple games in this series. So I think we're getting close to finding out who they're going to play, because game 5 between the Indiana Fever and Las Vegas Aces was happening. They started at 6:30 today. So I don't know about you guys. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm kind of rooting for the Las Vegas Aces because I want to see the best possible matchup. And Asia Wilson, who I think is the best WNBA player out there right now for the past 5 years. I said it on the last Pass the Outlet. But man, awesome to have another winner in the Valley. Don't care if you don't follow women's basketball as a whole completely, but these women are off the charts and playing incredible at the right time. So hats off to the Mercury.
Yeah, man, 100%. And this is like a perfect time if you're like just starting to get the basketball juices flowing. If you're excited for the Sun season to start, you can watch the Mercury in the finals for the first couple weeks here in October, and then go right into the basketball season for the Phoenix Suns after that. But no, Mike, I'll be watching. I'm real excited. I don't want to put on my like tinfoil hat and be all conspiratorial, but I like feel like the Fever are going to make it because obviously, you know, one, Caitlin Clark plays for them, and where she goes, so do a lot of eyeballs and attention. So you also have the storyline of Sophie Cunningham against her former team. You know, there's storylines, right? But obviously the Aces are, I think, the better team. So we'll see. Tallman, game 4 on Sunday was moved because of that Jonas Brothers concert. or I'm sorry, other way around. The concert was moved because of the Mercury game, and which is why you went on Monday.
That's correct.
Would you have rather gone to the Mercury game on Sunday instead?
Oh yeah, for sure. So just VSP Tallman here. All I'm going to do tonight is just talk about the Jonas Brothers. But no, I mean, yeah, that would have been a lot more exciting. And I'm a little mad at them because they forced that concert to be on Monday, which is the only reason I went. I wouldn't have gone on Sunday. So
you didn't get to watch Monday Night Football?
No, I did. I watched it. Yeah, at the what is it, Caesar Sportsbook at Chase Field. Yeah, got a couple drinks. Yeah, we watched it there. Before the concert. Yeah, because it was
by Guy Fieri, the Guy Fieri.
Yeah, Guy Fieri.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so that was open. But yeah, no, that was probably pretty damn exciting. And even during that concert, all the Jonas Brother band people were holding up Mercury flags and shit. So you could tell there's a lot of people excited about it, which I'm sure the clientele that attends a Jonas Brothers concert doesn't care about sports, let alone probably women's basketball. But no, anything to keep me away from that concert probably would have been nice. But that's exciting though, guys. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you I don't follow WNBA. I mean, you guys know I barely follow the NBA, but it's just crazy again that we have to rely on the Mercury to be the one professional team in the Valley that's going to be successful and potentially win a championship. But I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Chris, though. I think the Fever would probably be a better storyline. I mean, even though Caitlin Clark's not playing, I mean, it's insane that if they can make it to the finals without her. But hey, happy for them though.
All right, let's make a deal, guys. If the Mercury win it all, we're going to go to the parade just so we can experience a championship parade in our lifetime, because it might be the only chance we get.
I am down. My hand is in the handshake. I don't know if you guys want to do a huddle break. Let's do it.
They do a parade.
Yeah, they do a parade. Come on. Come on, Tom.
I mean, it's close, gentlemen. It's 47-45 Aces right now at halftime. So it's probably going to be one of those barn burners that comes right down to the end. But obviously, you always kind of have to give the home court advantage. And right now it's in Las Vegas. But I think I'm more so curious to see as this stream goes on, as we're about to go on, if Tallman breaks out, like I'm a sucker for you, and breaks into song, because I have a feeling he's still feeling it from last night. But let's see where the night takes us.
You never know, Michael. The night is young.
We'll be dropping some Camp Rock Love Bug references or something. I don't know what I'm saying, guys.
I don't even know what that is.
Let's keep it moving. We're definitely going to keep you posted on the Mercury. I'm sure, depending on how much longer we go on, we might be able to give you a final update on the Fever Aces here. But gentlemen, the Arizona Cardinals, not only are they 2-2 this season, but big news coming out of the organization this morning that the Cardinals will be leaving Tempe, heading to Phoenix at the site of, I believe, where the Arizona Coyotes were trying to get land to build their arena. They're going to build a headquarters and a new state-of-the-art training facility. Now, state-of-the-art is just a buzzword that means absolutely nothing. I mean, come on, if you're an NFL franchise and you're not having the state-of-the-art equipment, like, what are you doing? I don't know, man. Tallman, let's start with you first, and I'll ask you something not Jonas Brothers related. Is this going to help them translate the product into wins on the field, or is this just shiny new toy for Bidwell to say he did something?
Yeah. So, Chris, Joe Jonas had the best take on this last night. I'm just kidding. Well, no, I mean, we got to remember where this all started, right? So first they announced they were going to do that. What is it? The new training facility in Tempe, and that came out in February, right after the NFL, PA report card, and he was like, "Oh no, this is a big announcement in response to that report card because we had such shit grades on facility and weight room or something like that." It's hard to say. It's hard to say just because you have a better facility, better equipment, that your team's going to do better. I mean, they talk about it all the time with the Dallas Cowboys and how Jerry Jones has tours of the whole facility for people to come in, and because he wants to make all this money and show off all this nice fancy stuff because Jerry World is, is top of the line, right? Does that necessarily, turn into wins for the Dallas Cowboys? No, I mean, they haven't done anything in the playoffs or the postseason since the 90s, right? So I think it's going to be beneficial. It absolutely is, especially with this shift going to Phoenix, scooping up poor Coyotes land. It's going to be twice the size as it was proposed back in February. I think it's like 30 acres. It's going to cost twice as much as well. So props to Michael Bidwell for actually investing, spending some money on it. I know they already bought the land. It's secured. This is going to happen, should be done in 2028. And it's going to be cool, I think. I mean, I obviously, once it's done, we're going to have to take a field trip. Most definitely. We got to see what's going on. But they're going to incorporate possibly some retail space, restaurants, different type of medical facility into it as well. So it's going to be quite a big deal. But do I think it's going to translate to wins? It can't, probably not, but it's not going to hurt, right? And it's good for the team. Ultimately, it could benefit trying to bring free agents in to the team, right? Because you come in, you see what you got to work with, and maybe this new facility is going to be something where, a top of high free agent's going to say, yeah, I want to play there. I want to, be a part of this. I want to use that shit. And so it's going to help. It's going to benefit the team ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt. Certainly can't. Especially you mentioned those report cards and like the weight room in the facility was part of that. So I think that's a good point. I did not realize, I hadn't read much into this. I didn't realize it was going to be that massive of a spot. That's neat. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, it'd be hard to spin this as being a bad thing. As much as I do love to get a shot in at Michael Bidwell from time to time. But Mike, the move to Phoenix here is what gives me a bit of mixed emotions because as you guys know, that site in Tempe, pretty close to where we all grew up, I think within like 5-6 miles. It was literally like 3 miles up the road from where I lived, right there off of Kyrene Road. Tallman, I know you spent a lot of time at Tempe Skate Park, right, and around that area as well.
Sure did.
So as far as the move from Tempe to Phoenix, Mike, how are you feeling about that?
I think that's a great question, Chris, because that was one of the first things that I thought of specifically as a fan who grew up on the east side, right? That training facility currently where it sits is kind of like a landmark, right? Now that I've moved to different parts of the valley and find myself more kind of, farther east side, obviously not as far as you guys, but, I don't find myself as much over driving past the facility as I used to. But the biggest thing that you have to think about this is in terms of the players, right? It could come down to the same conversation that I think we all have in regard to our own jobs, right? If I consistently have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to where I have to go to work every day, it's a little bit of a droll, right? Think about where most of these guys and the high profile guys probably live. Yes, there's still a handful who still go and live in Ahwatukee, but there's still a lot of guys who have stretched out into Gilbert. And then I'm sure a lot of the primary high-profile guys are finding themselves in the Biltmore area or, Paradise Valley, McCormick Ranch. This is a way bigger deal than I think you guys truly realize. What this is signaling to the rest of the league is that the Arizona Cardinals are finally ready to step up to the plate and play in the big boy leagues. Putting this type of capital into your players, and not only your players, but your own personnel, right? This is a great new opportunity for, people who have been working with the Cardinals for years upon years. You could think about guys like Darren Urban, who have been going to the same dilapidated training facility for years on end. The biggest thing with this is going into a brand new space, grabbing these 30 acres, whereas, yeah, you could have sunk $100 million into the Tempe facility, but there was nowhere else to truly grow, guys. Like, it was tapped out. There's already, plenty of office buildings around there. And the infrastructure of Tempe could no longer really grant what this team needed to do to get into the correct graces with the NFL and where other teams are finding themselves. This is an absolute huge benchmark for this franchise who, remember, for a very long time, either than getting the stadium, which we all know now, where we had questions about it, I think this is the perfect location to really cater to your players. They're going to have, 365 days of training that they want to be around. There'll be plenty of catering, good food, good materials that they need to be better football players. And at the end of the day, too, this will be a factor within free agency, guys. I mean, when you have top of the list facilities and you have a place like Arizona and your facility is close to where a lot of these guys like to go and have fun, that's a huge win in the book for the Arizona Cardinals. So at the end of the day, guys, this news is huge, and it took me by absolute surprise, because I think, like a lot of you, I didn't know this was on the table. I was just waiting to see when they were going to break ground on their, new stuff in Tempe. But the last question that I have for you guys, maybe I'll throw it out there for you, is, a lot of this is probably stemming from the leadership and bringing in Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort, them talking about their long-term plans. Are these guys around in 2028? Because, if you're not winning football games, we know that this is a production league. And I truly hope that they are around to see, the dividends of their hard work in building this new regime. But that's obviously a long time from now. But man, this is exciting. If you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, get pumped. This is big time.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute win. Mike, you bring up a really good point about the proximity to where these players are living. I think that had to have been a big factor, and it is going to be attractive for free agents coming here, because now you're also going to have an incentive to do your rehab in the facility in and around the team. And I think there is a benefit to, while you're rehabbing, still being a part of the team. I have heard stories. I can't put my finger on any specific one that is Cardinals related, but you hear stories every year of a guy that will get injured and then he'll go train in Florida or California or his home state that's miles and miles and miles away from the team, and he's just disconnected from the team. That's a very specific issue, but ultimately I do think that this HQ and training facility is going to be pretty sweet. But guys, that means we're going to need to start seeing some more wins on the field. So far, I mean, I don't think it's going to help us this season. We're 2-2 to start after a warm start. We won our first 2 games, not in the most convincing way, but we did win them. Now on a 2-game losing streak, coming back home to take on the rookie Cam Ward. And you're going to hear this a lot this season, but we're going to be boots on the ground, baby. week 5, we're going to be in Glendale to check out the Titans. I mean, Mike's going to be there every home game.
Now we got 2 out of 3 for sure this week, and we'll have 2 out of 3 for a lot more coming up too.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. So guys, obviously before we look ahead, we got to look back. How did we get here through the first 4 weeks? Tallman, I'll kick it over to you first. Man, it's kind of tough losing your first 2 division games against beatable opponents, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's rough, right? So you lose 2 division games in a row, and especially leaving those 2 losses saying, damn, we could have won those games multiple different times, right? The San Francisco one is borderline inexcusable because you played a marginalized San Francisco team, an absolute visibly injured Mac Jones was able to whoop you and bring it down to a game-winning field goal. I mean, that game was just that one was a hard one to stomach, right? Because we were watching it. Defense keeps you in the game. I mean, that's kind of been the story of the entire season. If you look back on the first 4 games, it's like, we're averaging, I think, 18.5 points allowed against the defense this season, which is incredible. You're on the upper end of the league, right, from a defensive standpoint, and they've literally kept us in all these games. I mean, go back to Seattle. Basically, it came down to that last play, defended in the end zone. Look at that last drive that the Panthers had towards the end of that game. I mean, the incredible sack by Calais Campbell. I mean, it's hard not to go and look and blame this on the offense, but that's honestly that's what it is. You got to blame it on the offense. The lack of the run game is still killing me. And then, of course, to beat a dead horse there, you lose James Conner, and then you got Trey Benson banged up as well. You're activating Michael Carter to the everyday roster. It's like, what? Thank God we're coming up on the Titans, and that's going to be a fun game to go to, because I think we need a get right game. Absolutely. This team needs a big time stopping and assertive type win to kind of get the juices flowing again and get this thing back on track, because by no means is it completely fallen off the tracks. The train has not exploded at all. I mean, you're 2-2. You do have a lot of ground to make up in the division, but you get those same two teams again, right? We get to try them again. We have San Francisco at home coming up, which is that one of the ones I'm going with with you too, Mike? Yeah. Okay. So we'll be boots on the ground for that one. But it's hard it's hard not to say that we're going in the wrong direction, right? Because the offense has just been sputtering. I mean, I wasn't able to watch kind of that whole Seattle game. Mike, I know you were there. Chris, I'm pretty sure you were watching it as well, because you were sending me some text messages about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I remember checking my phone in my meeting, and it's halftime. It's 14-3. It's like, what's going on? So and then just reading some of the texts we had in that group chat where, again, Mike, you brought up the point where everything looks so difficult for this team. Nothing comes easy for this offense. And then it's typical Kyler fashion, not enough, a little too late into the game, where you string together in the fourth quarter and you brought yourself back in. But guess what? It's too late, because you wasted 3 quarters being, unwatchable and just not being able to get anything done from an offensive standpoint. So I'm just all over the place here. But the Seattle game's tough. I mean, again, it's crazy to think that both wins and both losses literally came down to the last minutes of the game. And we could be talking about a 4-0 team right now. What's crazy is we could even be talking about is an 0-4 team. So it's the offensive struggles are concerning, but the bright spot is absolutely the defense. And Mike, to touch on what your one question about the training facility, will this regime be around? I think if we continue to play defense like that and improve, because there's a lot of room for improvement on this defense, I think Gannon's going to be around for a while, and he's going to see that training facility. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday, though. Like I said, that's a get right game where hopefully we can kick some ass and beat up on that rookie quarterback.
Mike, I just got to jump in real quick and say I have a slightly different take on whether those guys will be around for the training facility. I do agree. I think Jonathan Gannon will be. I think he'll survive that long. Drew Petzing, absolutely not. He is going to get put on the chopping block. And my hot take, potentially, maybe not so hot, Nick Rallis, he won't be here either, but for positive reasons. He's going to be a head coach somewhere else. Guys, what he's doing with that defense is just absolutely incredible. But Mike,
that's a good call.
I do need to know what you thought about the first 4 weeks. You've been heavy eyes on the product.
Yes, I have, to a positive and an unfortunate experience so far. Tallman, you said it perfectly, right? You were all over the place, because that's where this team still is, right? They're still kind of all over the place. You see some glimpses on the offensive side. You could go back to that first game in New Orleans where they started to target Marvin Harrison Jr., get him involved a little bit earlier. He found the end zone. He found his rhythm within the first week, which is what we wanted. And then we started backpedaling. We started finding injuries to the secondary. Obviously when James Conner goes down, with the offensive line has truly struggled. And I think, Justin Fry is having trouble finding his footing as this offensive line coach right now. I'll be the first one to put my hand up. I'm the one, specifically in basketball, I will say that, though, is I'm about consistency. I'm about building with each other, right? The more continuity you can have on a team, I always thought was the better, right? Another year to grow, another year to master your craft, know your playbook in and out. And we ran it back with the exact same offense, and we got worse. Like, that is absolutely not supposed to happen on either side of the football. And Chris, like you said, I mean, Nick Rallis is living up to his expectations. He's taking this defense above and beyond. Now, granted, he was given a thoroughbred of weapons in this offseason. So it's just disappointing that, once again, we're talking about one side of the football, not keeping up their end of the bargain to start this season, at least. And I know that there's time to adjust. There's time to figure things out. I just get so concerned with the way that Drew Petzing goes in front of the media and at the press box and really not that he has to give clues to him understanding that things aren't working the way that they are right now. But it just seems like he loves to double down on the ineptitude of this team. Like, we're going to keep running it back and doing the things the same way. That first half performance in San Francisco was absolutely unacceptable. And you could say the same thing about the Seattle game as well. I think you have a little bit more grace because technically at that point in time, the Seattle Seahawks were the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL at the point. But, you know, man, it's that too little too late mantra that Tallman touched on as well, where this team is not ready to be great yet, unfortunately. And I don't know if it's truly a leadership thing or if it's still personnel, but good teams, guys, good teams find a way to get a safety, take a 15-13 lead, and wilt away a game easily under 2 minutes. Good teams find a way to do a normal kickoff and not get creative and trust your coverage team with 28 seconds left instead of giving them a short field where they only have to go 20 yards in order to kick game-winning field goals. This team is not ready to truly take that next step. And it's unfortunate because those were the expectations. Those should always be the expectations in year 3 of a rebuild. But like we said, we're not going to jump off the bridge just yet. There's time to adjust. There's time to come back to the light with the hopes of what this season is supposed to be, which is a team that makes the playoffs and hopefully at least wins a playoff game. But we're at the end of the cupcakes. We get Tennessee, and now all of these other teams that you're looking at are going to be getting healthier and are better than they were or that we expected them to be. That Indianapolis game is going to be no joke. Now, I'm not thinking that the Arizona Cardinals are going to give up 40-plus points to the Indianapolis Colts. But if you're going to run back the same offensive scheme and only score 13 to 17 points, you're going to lose those games. And, man, I really just hope that they took this mini bye, really looked themselves in the eye, specifically in this offense. And even if JG, Drew Petzing, Trey McBride, Kyler, Marvin, Trey Benson all just got in a room and said, what's working? What's not? How do we all brainstorm together? Because that's what it feels like is missing from this offense. This is year 7 from Kyler Murray. Does he really make adjustments at the line ever? Do you see it happen? It just seems like he's become such a system quarterback that he was okay to live within this system that didn't predicate to his skills whatsoever. And it's time for him to take over and be that number 1 overall pick talent that we know is in him and that he has shown for years here in the Valley. So, got to win on Sunday. You got to win. You have to be over 500 going into the bye week. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I would say that that's bare minimum. You're gonna. We have an odd number of games going into the bye week, so you're gonna be up or you're gonna be down. I hope we're at least 4-3, but that means we're gonna have to win 2 of the next 3, and we got Tennessee, Indianapolis, Green Bay. So you say you should beat Tennessee. They should beat Tennessee at home. Now, do they go on the road and beat Indianapolis, or do they come back home and can they beat the Green Bay Packers, who have looked vulnerable at times? I mean, week 1, people thought you were writing Green Bay into the Super Bowl. But that goes to show you how quickly things can change week to week. And it truly can be a situation where it is any given Sunday for a lot of these teams, especially once you start factoring in injuries. And it's like been stuck in my brain. I was listening to the post game. I think it was after the San Francisco loss. And a guy pointed out that JG he kind of does the Torey Lovullo thing where he goes in his post games and kind of says a lot of the same buzzword things, just kind of generic coach answers. But one of the things I guess JG has been keying in on the past couple of years is, there's just some things we got to clean up. Like, we played a pretty good game, but there's just some things we got to clean up. And this caller goes, if you always just got all you have to do is clean stuff up, then it should be surgical in here by now. Why haven't you cleaned it up? What are you waiting for? You living in a messy ass house? Clean it up. So I just hope that it's not all just lip service, which, if you go back a couple of years, has been my biggest criticism of Jonathan Gannon since day one, is the lip service. Coaches are going to do the coach thing. They're going to give their their talking points, and you're not really going to get too much information. So I'm not going to get caught up on that. But you guys are absolutely right. The soft part of the schedule is over. It's going to be there's going to be tests on the schedule from here on out, and how will the Cardinals answer the call through the first 4 weeks? I'm unimpressed. The box score doesn't tell the full story. The final score doesn't tell the full story. Like, that San Fran game shouldn't have been a 1-point game. Honestly, like, go in the fourth quarter, we were down 20-6 to the Seattle Seahawks, and we managed to scratch and claw back, ultimately just to lose that game anyway. So it's tough, man. I mean, looking ahead here though, don't want to get too caught up. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about the Cardinals throughout the season and check in on them. But week 5, we talked about it. Tennessee, Cam Ward is coming into town, Calvin Ridley, and Mike, who is that Stanford receiver? Their number one target getter so far this season.
Oh, you gotta put me on the spot again.
Is it
Alik Iomanner, and I'm surprised that this guy wasn't one of like a sleeper pick or Tallman stashing on his fantasy football bench, because he has been kind of the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver for Cam Ward, and he's a guy out of Stanford. We know that Tallman just loves his Stanford guys, because not only do they got big arms and muscles, they got big brains too. But Chris, this is going to be your first game out at State Farm Stadium this year. Technically, this will be my 3rd. I got to know, man, like what are you expecting performance-wise from the Arizona Cardinals up against maybe the worst team in the NFL? And it's crazy to say that, because I feel like we've said that a couple of times already.
All right, Mike, is it what I'm expecting to see or what I'm hoping to see?
You can give us both. Give us both.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay. So I'll start with what I'm hoping to see, because I think that's going to be a nice positive note. What I'm hoping to see is a Cardinals team that is hungry to silence the doubters, and having a great opportunity come off a really rough couple of weeks. Like you mentioned, the baby bye, whatever, the mini bye, whatever you want to call it, having some extra time to get healthy. Now, you're not going to be able to get healthy from some of those long-term injuries. James Conner, RIP. But hey, he made it through last season, guys. We at least got 1 full season out of him. Obviously that's another story. No, I'm hoping to see a hungry Cardinals team looking to come out and make a statement and run roughshod, start to finish, full game against the Titans. What I'm expecting to see is more of the same. I think we're going to see it look very difficult for the Cardinals to accomplish anything. I think they'll still win. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I think they're still going to win, because that's how little I think of the Titans so far through what I've seen in their season. They're 0-4. They're the worst team in the AFC South. They're looking at a top 5 pick this year.
Well, yeah. And I mean, going into that matchup last week, you could have said that the Houston Texans, the way that they're performed, have been one of the worst teams in the NFL so far to start as well. Now, granted, Texans' schedule has been way more of a gauntlet than the Tennessee Titans, but to get blanked 26-0, you guys heard Cam Ward come out and literally say, like, where we stand right now, this team is ass. Like, please tell me you heard that.
I did not.
But I mean, Tallman, I got to ask you this. Chris says that it might be more the same. It might be, a rough watch for the offensive system. What do you truly think this offense will look like come around on Sunday? They already started to cut back on the 12-13 personnel. You can't run big anymore. You don't have the backs for it. Sounds like Trey Benson might not even be your lead back this week as well. I kind of got thoughts on that before the end of this too. But, I mean, is it going to be a heavy dose of Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson? Like, will we really see a change to this offense at all on Sunday?
I mean, you would hope so, right? Because you have an inferior opponent, and you are, we're lacking the bodies at the running back position. And you already mentioned it. We don't have that guy that you can run right up the gut and power his way to a first down. Where, I mean, if Trey Benson doesn't go, if he can't play Sunday, it's going to be very interesting. I'd imagine that we'd air it out. I think it'd be pass heavy. Maybe you see some more dinking and dunking. I'm sure will probably happen. Some of those screens, obviously, that's just part of the Cardinals' repertoire now. But no, I would want to see them air it down the field, take some shots downfield. I mean, it's the no risk it, no biscuit type shit again. Like we're heavily missing that. I mean, even to date, the run game has been non-existent. I mean, did you guys realize we've only had one rushing touchdown through 4 weeks? We're ranked in the bottom 5 in rushing touchdowns in the entire league. Where coming in, it was like the Cardinals are going to run it down your throat, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. We're just going to demoralize you. If you give us the ball with 3, 4, 5 minutes left of the game and we have a lead, you're not getting the ball back because we're going to run this clock out 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. You know, that's just not anything that this team's capable of doing. So against the Titans, and again, I already called it earlier in the stream. I said this is a get right game. So let's see what our franchise quarterbacks what he's got, right? Let's see if he can air it out, if he can hit some of these deep shots. I mean, I want to see us score 30 points. Okay, even the defense do what they're continuing to do and hold these teams to the 10 to 20 point range. I don't expect the Cardinals to blank the Titans like the Texans did. But I want to see a bloodbath out there because we need it, right? And don't want to get ahead of yourself because we've already mentioned the any giving Sunday thing. I mean, you look back at the Panthers. The Panthers beat the Falcons 30-0. I mean, and then the next week this past weekend, the Panthers got stomped by the Patriots like 42-10. And then you saw the Falcons bounce back and beat the Commanders 37 to something. So it's been a weird season. I mean, and then you have the Ravens that are 1-3. It's like, not saying that we're going to lose this game, but we talked about it time and again about that Saints game going into it. It was like, you can't lose this game or we're going to be the laughing stock of the league. Right. And then same with the Panthers. You got to get revenge on these guys. You can't lose to this team that is not as talented as you are. And what happened with those two games? I mean, it came down to the very last minutes of the game where, we let them back in and we should have won those games, handily. It shouldn't have been that difficult. So I'm hoping that this game Sunday is our first game that doesn't come down to the last possession of the game that we've just been absolutely cursed with so far this season, because that'd be concerning. But I feel like the defense is going to show out, and you just want to hope that the offense can actually get it going, pick up what you guys did in the fourth quarter against Seattle, because what they were doing in that fourth quarter was sensational, right? If you can bottle that up and carry that forward through the rest of the season, then we're talking, right? We got something special going on if we can perform at that high caliber. But we've just seen slow start after slow start, just very conservative approaches offensively. You're playing the Titans, guys. Chris already mentioned they're 0-4. Take some shots. Even if you're up 21-3, don't stop. Don't take your foot off the throttle. Like I want to see them be pissed and score 30, 35, 40 points. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you do that, right? If you're in the position to do it, you're going to win the game. Keep taking shots, right?
I got to roll off of that, Chris. I'm sorry. I got to jump in here real quick. Yeah, I love that you said this is a get right game. And not only is it a get right game for the Arizona Cardinals, this is a get right game for the fan base, guys. For how excited we were for this start, to see the slate and how they've kind of just walked through the mud to start this season to a 500 start. And guys find themselves at the bottom of the NFC West to start is tough. This is going to be exactly like the Carolina Panthers game. It's going to be 80% Arizona Cardinals fans. There's going to be juice in the building. But like you said, Tallman, Kyler Murray is going to have to throw the football like 25 times in the first half. They got to take real nice shots early and often. And then if you want to get your run game settled in and start to figure out what's working the best, you do that with a handy lead. Like I'm talking 3-4 touchdown lead at most, or at minimum. Sorry. I mean, things have to change, right? If this team is truly going to be competitive and make a playoff run this year, you cannot run out the same thing. And the fan base, trust me, guys, on Thursday, we let them know that it's not okay. It's not acceptable. So I'm very confident they're going to come out and throw some different wrinkles at us. We're going to start getting our outside weapons more involved, but you got to show it to me at this point. I can't keep hoping that it's going to happen. You got to show it to me. But Chris, go ahead, man.
No, the only thing I was really going to say is my prescription for Sunday is that they get the run game going early to open up the pass. Looking at just pulling some stats here while you guys are talking, the Titans rank 5th worst in rush yards allowed this season and the 5th most points given up by a team this season. Slightly better against the pass, they're 11th worst, so somewhat near the middle, but I would expect a heavy dose of Trey Benson to get started, probably mix in some Amari DiMercato and Michael Carter as well. But man, this would have been a great game for James Conner to be available for, wouldn't it? But we take what we can get. I do have full faith in Trey Benson. I mean, we used a 3rd round pick on him, something like that.
3rd round pick. Chris, I don't know if he's going to play. They signed Michael Carter to the active roster, and he hasn't practiced the past 2 days. Now, granted,
Trey Benson hasn't practiced.
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
geez.
Granted, I think Gambo was saying today from the inner circles that he's heard it's not as bad as it looks, but if you're already coming off a bye week earlier, like they didn't play on Sunday, they played on Thursday. They already had multiple days off. And if he comes out and he's not practicing on Monday, this team is going to play conservative. They've shown it on offense, but they're going to play conservative with, their pieces. They're not going to rush him back. Same with, why we're probably going to finally see Will Johnson come here and play this Sunday. But then same thing with like why we haven't seen Walter Nolan off the PUP list yet. Now, I heard things maybe Wednesday because they didn't want to start it at the beginning of the week. But yeah, I mean, does that change your outlook? Say if Trey Benson is not the starting running back and you're starting Amari DiMercato, do you think that the Arizona Cardinals are still going to go run heavy, like you say, to start in this game?
Yeah. I think you have to, at least to see what you can do to start. I don't think you change your game plan too much, but I mean, how good is this team at making quick adjustments? I don't know if we have a whole lot of evidence to suggest that they are able to do that. So yeah, I guess it's really going to depend on the information. Obviously the team knows more than they're letting on right now. So I'm sure they're game planning, probably plan A, plan B with Benson, without Benson. But Mike, this is interesting. I didn't know it. I'm just going to share from the internet here. Theo Mackey of the Arizona Republic speculates that the Cardinals could turn to Carter as their lead back if Benson is hurt, which is what you were saying, Mike. And Coach Jonathan Gannon would give only a vague, taking it day by day update on Benson. It's a bit of an odd injury update timing since Arizona played on Thursday night. It's certainly Benson pops up on the injury report. So undisclosed injury at this time. It was usually like Thursday that they usually, or Wednesday or Thursday, probably Wednesday if there's games on Thursday.
I think Wednesday is normally the first day that they give the full injury report. And then Gannon does a pretty good job of getting in front of the media basically every day, except for Saturday leading up to the week. And he gives full updates each time. So we'll see. But I specifically think that dictates a lot of the game plan and how you're going to attack, more so in the air to start if you don't have Trey Benson.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right with that. But honestly, could be, I'd hate to call it a blessing in disguise, but if you have to go more pass heavy, you prepare Marv for that expectation. It seems like maybe he's gotten over the hump, his yips, as we were calling him. Maybe he's going to feel more comfortable, and you can give him a dozen targets. You can give him 10, 15 targets and hope that he hauls in 8 for 150 yards. And you can give Trey McBride, 10 targets. Like you're going to have to lean on these guys heavy. Tallman's boy, Michael Wilson, he's going to have to get involved. He's going to have to stay involved. He's going to have to make those grabs. But yeah, honestly, I expect a win. I'm hoping for a win. I just hope it's convincing. And Tallman, I agree with you. I think that the Cardinals are fully capable of putting up 30 points, and I want to see it. 4 touchdowns, baby. Let's go. But before we move on from the Cardinals, guys, before I just steamroll this conversation, is there anything else you wanted to get out there as it pertains to the Cardinals, Tallman?
Yeah, I didn't go back and watch it. So how bad was the kickoff that Chad Ryland didn't put in the landing zone to end that game on Thursday night?
I think he literally kicked it like a half a yard short.
Really?
So the landing zone starts at the 20 and he hit like 20 and a half, or maybe the 21. The issue for me big time with that though is the offense was so inept the first 3 quarters, almost 3.5 quarters. And then for them to find magic in a bottle to come back within this game that they really had no business in being in, and then not even truly give yourself an opportunity to make a stop and go into overtime and possibly win a game that you shouldn't have won no matter what. That's where, like, man, the story of Arizona sports strikes again, guys. Because I think one thing that I didn't address, like I was thinking about, it's like, you know, we talked about how great Trey Benson was of a pick. He was the next guy to take over for James Conner. He finally started to show his flashes. And then literally within his first opportunity that he's given, he's stonewalled, granted, against a really good Seattle Seahawks team and some of the best defensive tackles in the game for sure. But he's hurt already. Like, he didn't even make it 1 week. The same thing with like Darius Robinson. All we heard about during training camp is look at how big he looks. He's going to come in and, you know, he'd throw away last year, even though he played, 8 games, whatever. This is going to be it. He finally makes an impact last week. I think 2 tackles for loss and a sack. And he's hurt. And he's not going to play again. So it's like, when the fuck can we catch a bone with some of these guys? You know? And I already touched on Walter Nolan. Is he alive? You know, we haven't seen him at practice at all. And how bad was this calf injury to the point where it's been almost 90 days since we've seen this guy? Like, what's the deal? But sorry, I took over a little bit on that.
No, you're good. Yeah, because Darius Robinson, he left Thursday night. He left the game, didn't return. So, and then you mentioned Nolan. It's like, where's our first round picks from the last 2 years? You look at all these other teams in the NFL, they have their first round picks, their rookies making impacts. And then, in Arizona, it's like, nope, they got to wait a couple of years before they can even get on the field. But that's frustrating as hell. But yeah, I was getting out of work on Thursday. There's like 26 seconds left. The game's tied. I'm like, fuck yeah. I get to drive home listening to some OT on the radio. And then I kick on my radio and it goes, first thing I hear, Seattle wins the game. And I'm like, what the fuck, Dave? What happened, Dave Pash? There was only 26 seconds. How did they get in position to kick a winning field goal? And then it goes on about this goddamn landing zone and that's just, I'm almost happy I wasn't watching it. I think I might have had a heart attack with that. I mean, because they got the ball at the 40 opposed to potentially being, much further back. And that's upsetting. That is just, I think you said something along the lines, Mike, of just true NFL sports fandom right there, where just shitty luck.
And I know that Chase Daniel, long time NFL backup, whatever, talked about how much he hates the new implementations of the rules. But that's the difference between inept franchises that, yes, granted, are trying to turn the corner and change their stars, which is becoming one of my more favorite sayings of recent, guys. I feel like you can probably see that. But why even put yourself in a position to be cute like that? You got back into the game. You fought so hard, and then you're going to leave it to chance to see if maybe he can get it short. I mean, the coverage was fine the whole game. I don't think they had anybody get outside of the 35. They were averaging between the 25 to 32 yard line start. I mean, and you didn't get any time come off the clock. So it's these head scratchers continue, man. These head scratchers continue year after year, regime after regime. But the last thing I'll say is they have to put their best foot forward this week. And I'm exactly with Chris. Like, they should put up 40 points this week. They need to blow the Titans out for us to start thinking that things are in a good spot and we still have a chance this year, which is crazy to say when you're only at week 5.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, but every game counts. And I'm not taking that for granted anymore. Like, I'm never going to let anyone tell me it's too early in the season ever again. I've been burned by the Diamondbacks 2 years in a row now. 2 years in a row, guys. And Tallman, that story of you getting out of work reminded me of a couple years back. You and I were golfing, and we were leaving Bear Creek, and I had to stop at the gas station. And as we're listening to it, it was like, Paul Sewald's coming in for the save. Turn off the car, get gas, turn the car back on. And whoever they were playing, walk it off. Paul Sewald gave up a home run. It's like, God, dude, what? Paul, 2 pitches and you gave up a home run? Anyway, all that to say, I feel your pain, but good segue to start talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks. Am I right? Thank God that season's over. Holy shit, guys. That was the biggest roller coaster, and I never want to do that again. Like, I want to know if my team is bad or if they are good. I don't like 2 seasons of are we good, are we bad on the fence. We're trading everyone at the deadline, but then somehow we get better. We get people at the trade deadline, but somehow we get worse. Like, crazy. The big story, couple big stories, actually. First one I think we want to get to, and a lot of people are mixed emotions on this one. Torey Lovullo is confirmed to be coming back for the 2026 season. Lovullo will return as Diamondbacks manager in 2026. A source said on Monday, September 29th, ending speculation that he might take the fall for the club's disappointing 2025 season. Lovullo, the winningest and longest tenured manager in franchise history, caught criticism for some of his in-game decisions throughout the year, but he also oversaw a stunning second-half turnaround in which the Diamondbacks, despite a rash of injuries and a trade deadline sell-off, managed to remain in the wildcard race until the final weekend of the season. His return was welcoming news for many of his players, some of whom were at Chase Field clearing out their lockers when they received the news. So obviously we know Torey is a player's coach. Sometimes we wonder if that makes him a bit of a doormat. Good hell, Marte. Excuse me. Some players might take advantage of him. But he's a good guy. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we've always said. We can criticize what he does as a manager, but we all love Torey, the person. Now, Torey, the manager, is who we're going to talk about here, fellas. How do you feel about the return of Torey for 2026?
I'll jump in on it. So you guys had already talked about it, you know, as this last month was unfolding. I think we were all kind of in agreement that Torey had saved his job, right? With the pieces that he had lost, not only through the trade deadline, but from the injuries, basically being able to put this ragtag group of relievers and young pieces together to somehow miraculously find themselves in contention going into, you know, the last 5 games of this season. I don't think there was ever a chance that he wasn't going to be back. I mean, if you look at it, he was hired November 4th, 2016. So we're literally almost at 9 years of this guy being the skipper. And he is the most winning manager in our franchise history. Granted, his winning percentage is only .490, but he's had more seasons over 500 than under, right? 5 out of 9. The first season he took over, we went to the playoffs. And then obviously we know the magical run. But what do we always talk about here on VSP is, you know, the expectations of things. And after a World Series run, the way that the Diamondbacks have miraculously faltered, really a lot more, I would say, last year, going down in the balance, winning 89 games and not making the playoffs. This year, you put an asterisk on those expectations. I truly think, guys, because of the major injuries that you had to your number one ace and literally your 2 guys who were your options at start or at reliever, at the closing reliever spots. So maybe this is bad to say, but my favorite thing about this is that this isn't an extension. This is your last chance, Torey, basically. But it also is signaling that they want to try and win and make the playoffs next year. And what was one of the things that I had kind of talked about was that the true expectations, I think, next would be 2027. So that gives you hope that this club is going to retool. Now, Ken did say we're not going to spend the same amount as we did this past season, which I think he said was around $220 million, which in the grand scheme of things is crazy. But we also know that he likes to talk about investing the capital that the franchise gets from when people show up. And I believe I heard that this was the most attended season for the Arizona Diamondbacks in the past 15 years. So the cash is flush for the D-backs. So they're going to have to get creative, but it's still time to go and try and win, which is an exciting thing to say.
Yeah, I think that's well said, Mike. There's not a whole lot more I can add to that. I mean, obviously we've sat here and since March have criticized Torey for a plethora of things that he's done, but it is hard to sit here now with hindsight and be critical of his decisions managing the bullpen, because how do you manage a dumpster that is literally on fire and smells like shit, and anything you try to do with it, the flames just grow higher and burn hotter? What an absolute mess. I mean, there's nothing Torey could have done about that. And so I think if we had a solid bullpen that was competent, some of the little tweaks with the lineup or giving Cattell a day off here or there, those things would not be as glaring or as magnified as they are when the team is doing poorly. And those expectations, that word, we always have these words that keep circling for these Valley teams, and the expectations were very high for this Diamondbacks team, and they just didn't live up to them. But I am okay with giving Torey one more ride. I do want to get into some Ken Kendrick's additional comments a little later on, but Tallman, got to give you the floor, man. What do you think of this news?
Yeah, I mean, not surprised. Mike already mentioned it. We've been, we already knew this was going to happen. I mean, from this team went from the trade deadline, we're 51 and 58, I think 7 games under 500, where it was all doom and gloom, and it totally made sense that the team was going to sell. But then you saw in the second half, I mean, they're able to get by and have a good finish with pretty much the worst bullpen by ERA standards in the MLB. You got improved performances from the starting pitchers. I mean, look at what Zach Gallen did, turning it around. Even our boy Erod had some great starts sprinkled in there, brought his ERA down. And then, I mean, you saw Perdomo just blossom into basically a superstar, where he's in conversations with, even being, he should get some mentions for MVP, right? Which obviously that's not going to happen. But just him just being statistically, in that conversation is incredible. I mean, you saw a late push here. I mean, we saw some more of, what Diamondbacks baseball should be. And Torey's the first one to tell you the definition of Diamondbacks baseball. And that goes back to our saying of creating chaos and, being, athletic, fast, and keeping the opponent on their toes, which we saw that. I mean, shit, I was watching a game, I think last week, where I saw Carroll hits a single, he stole second, and then the next pitch, he stole third base and totally caught everybody off guard. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Corbin Carroll that actually aggressive on the base pass. So, and then of course, Ken Kendrick comes out. Obviously, he admits he's disappointed, where the expectations were through the roof. There's no doubt about it. But he also mentioned the injuries. And honestly, guys, the injuries saved Torey Lovullo's job. And we don't ever want to say that's an excuse, but I mean, it was so brutal for this team. I mean, you have 6 or 7 different pitchers getting season-ending Tommy John surgery, where that's an incredible amount. I mean, that's a huge blow. Look at our starting bullpen beginning of the season. None of those guys are on there. And I think during the when we did our in-person record, what was it? 7, or I forgot. I think it was an article we sent in the group chat, but we got saves from 17 different pitchers. That just tells you right there just how of a mixed match, terrible, just how ravaged the bullpen was, where it was a game of, okay, plug and play. Nobody even knows who these players are. So that really saved his job. And of course he had to mention, Ken Kendrick had to mention that Torey is just so great at connecting with people, right? He is that player's coach. I mean, even when the team was cleaning out their lockers, I mean, you had everybody come up and back Torey. So I wouldn't be in that camp of some other Diamondbacks fans saying that he lost the clubhouse. I mean, that's just who he is. I mean, you saw it from when Torey backed Ketel Marte when Torey screaming at that fan in Chicago at the White Sox game. And then he even had it with Perdomo coming in and interrupting that post-game press conference, basically backing Ketel Marte, backing Torey Lovullo. I mean, you can tell that he's got a good grasp on this team, and these young guys love playing for him. So I'm not surprised he's coming back. Honestly, I was okay with it, right? I mean, you look around the league, you saw some other, kind of big names get, what was it? Bob Melvin got fired. Bruce Bochy, they mutually separated with the Texas Rangers, somebody who just won the World Series 2-3 years ago. Obviously, we're very aware of that one. So I was okay with it. I'm not going to be that guy, calling for his head saying, well, look at all these other candidates we can go and bring in. Because honestly, I think Torey Lovullo is the best option for this team, because we've mentioned it before. This team's going to look very similar to what it was the past month and a half next season when we start the season, right? Because we still have those lingering injuries. And not saying it's going to produce the same, but that starting lineup is going to look very, very familiar come opening day next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope that familiarity and the progress that was made at the end of the season does bleed over into next year. But there's a lot of questions that are going to be addressed. I think it is good. Obviously you mentioned having the same core coming back. So to have Corey leading that team will be good as well. But I'm going to be curious to see what they do with this little bit of payroll wiggle room they have to bring in some pieces, particularly going to be keeping my eye on first base, as I'm sure many D-backs fans will. But guys, last thing I wanted to touch on with the Diamondbacks, and I mentioned Ken Kendrick's comments. When asked about the possibility of bringing back Zach Gallen, Ken Kendrick said, "I don't think it's out of the touch of reality that we would be able to work out an arrangement to bring him back." That is a word for word quote, weird way to say it, but basically he's saying it's not out of the realm of possibility that they will be able to bring back Zach Gallen. And I saw this on X, and Gambo posed the question. I guess he posted it and posed the question. To Diamondbacks fans. And so I will ask Mike here on our live stream, how would you feel about bringing back Zach Gallen, not even on a 1-year prove it deal, but potentially on like a 4-year, $80 million deal? Those were the terms Gambo proposed, a 4-year, $80 million deal. So $20 million a year for Zach Gallen.
Well, if I'm thinking about the dollar signs, I think that is a more palatable number comparative to where you probably thought Zach Gallen was going to sit at the end of this year if he was completely successful all year long, right? I mean, his last, 8 to 10 starts were way better than he performed the first half of the year, where he was living close to a 6 ERA, if not within it. And I mean, Zach Gallen, to a certain extent, I think is always going to be a fan favorite because he's one of those longest tenured Diamondbacks. You have to put him up there with Ketel Marte. I think they said he's played here for 7 years. It's always hard to see those kind of guys walk, those guys who have built their name within a franchise. We literally just went through that last year with Christian Walker. But am I willing to sink in that type of money for a guy who has not lived up to, I think, a lot of our expectations after a World Series run? Didn't really, well, I think either than Game 5, right? He had a no-hitter going into the 7th. Kind of struggled through that playoff run, either than against the Dodgers too. But I think at that number, I'd be okay with it because you still have to think about what you're waiting for, right? You're waiting for Corbin Burns, who I think came out and said he's hopeful that maybe by July and after the All-Star break, he'll be able to make a return. You have to think about, when is Eduardo Rodriguez going to be kind of kicked to the curb? Because yes, he made some better starts, but you have to look at the transcript as a whole, to say the least, which has not been successful. And as long as you're still making sure to give opportunities to Brandon Pfaadt, who I think can continue to grow, and you have to make sure there's a spot for Ryan Nelson in this starting rotation next year moving forward as well, because he's been your best pitcher out of the starting lineup, I would say, for the past 2 seasons, outside of Merrill Kelly, who's no longer with the franchise. But it's a hard question. I think I'd be okay with it, though, guys. If you want to bring back Zach Gallen, because there's still too many unknowns from the starting rotation right now. And what you do know is Zach Gallen's always healthy. He's always available. He always pitches. He's always there. So I'll take the availability comparative to an unknown right now.
Hey, that's fair. That's something we always hear a lot from Tallman, that the best quality in a player is availability. Now, yes, the worst ERA of his career last year with that 4.83 ERA, but second most innings pitched in a season. So that speaks to the availability, which is something the Diamondbacks could really benefit from right now. I think, Mike, for my money, I would be okay with 4 years, $80 million. I'd be okay with 1 year, $20 million even. But I don't know what the market is for Zach Gallen. So how are other teams viewing him? Tallman, I'm not like you're an expert on opinions outside of the Valley, but do you think that there is like a bigger market for Gallen? And also you can answer the question of if you would take this 4 year, $80 million.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so. I mean, guys, you got to remember there's no salary cap in baseball. We got the big dogs out there. They're like a vacuum, dude. They're just going to suck up anybody who's got an impressive resume and plug them in wherever they can, right? Yeah, Zach Gallen had, the worst year of his career, right? But I mean, he's still proven that he is, a high caliber pitcher in the league. I mean, he's a guy that started an all-star game. He took the no-hitter into the 7th inning in Game 5 of the World Series, which was one of my all-time sports moments, right, that we shared on the last podcast we did. So yes, there's a market out there for him, and it's so hard to get an idea of what some of these teams would pay. I mean, 4 years, $80 million, that sounds right for a middle-level team like the D-backs, but who knows what Zach Gallen is thinking. I mean, he's come under so much fire. I mean, you see it all over social media. People are taking his name and dragging it through horse shit. A lot of fans gave him a very hard time, and this is his home, right? I mean, you already mentioned it. He's played here for 7 years, and he's been very vocal about how he wants to continue to play here. But you never know what happens when the Dodgers come knocking. They go, hey, 3 years, 60 million, 65, something. You never know. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Would I take him back? I would take him back in general. Yeah, obviously you'd want him to come back. He's a core piece of this rotation, and we're already going to be down a big player next year in Corbin Burns, where, if he wants to come back, if he wants to sign, a hometown, sweetheart deal with us, sweet. That's incredible, because we're going to need him, right? But I just don't see that happening. Even if it was set at 4 years, $80 million. I mean, come on. The owner already said the payroll's coming down, right? I don't see them adding a big contract like that. Honestly, I mean, it doesn't seem big in professional athlete type contracts. I mean, what, 4 years, 8, that's $20 million a year. That's not bad. I mean, that's what Eduardo Rodriguez is getting, I'm pretty sure. But I just don't see them doing that and adding that type of big contract. Nor do I think that the best offer he's going to get is from the D-backs, because I think that qualifying offer, it's 1 year, $22 million. Obviously, Zach's going to want a long-term deal. But I think there's going to be a lot more interest around the league than, we're expecting. Coming off a bad season, I don't think that's really going to kill his chances or his options around the league of getting a long-term deal elsewhere. I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a compelling argument, Tallman, and you're right. Like, obviously the big fish are out there and they're going to hunt. However, when you look at this Diamondbacks organization and you're trying to piece together a 5-man pitching rotation, who's going to replace a Zach Gallen? I mean, we already don't even know who's going to replace a Merrill Kelly. I'm looking at our roster right now, and I think the report yesterday was Corbin Burns is going to try and come back by the end of July. Okay, that still leaves half of the season unaccounted for, a little bit more. So right now, I mean, we have Yilber Diaz, Zach Gallen, if you let him go, no, you don't have him. Casey Kelly, I didn't even know he was on the roster. Ryan Nelson, Brandon Fott, Eduardo Rodriguez. So realistically, a rotation to start next year, you're looking at Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Fott, Ryan Nelson, Gilbert Diaz, and who?
It's going to finally be Tommy Henry becomes the player that we always wanted, and he's going to just set the world on fire. No, Chris, I mean, honestly, we've talked about it too. You know who might replace Merrill Kelly? It might be Merrill Kelly. Yeah, because we're talking about hometown discounts. That's the guy who's going to give it to us for sure. He already talked about, as much as Zach Gallen has become a Valley guy, Merrill Kelly is literally the Valley guy. He grew up here. So I'm pretty sure he wants to stay and finish out within his time frame here. But yeah, that's going to be the big question. I think Tallman it brings up such a good point in regard to no salary cap, but Ken Kendrick still consistently wavers right on that wire, teetering to, does he want to go full in and just sink the capital completely into this baseball team? Or does he just kind of want to live in the green and be close, but not all the way in? And that's what these injuries have done for this upcoming season. It's really hard to pick the right side, right? Because these guys that are missing and that are going to miss a chunk, if not all of next year, are supposed to be your true contributing pieces. So it's hard to sink more capital if you're not going to have the full complement around. So, but yeah, I mean, that was my big point. Merrill Kelly might be the one to replace Merrill Kelly. I don't know. Tallman, I was kind of giving a little side when he said that, and I saw you too. Is that what you were thinking? I kind of gave you a side eye. You were doing one too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You talk about Merrill Kelly? Merrill Kelly? Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you want him back? I mean, when we traded him, he was our best pitcher on our team. I mean, and it makes it even more impressive what this team was able to do over the last 2 months of the season. I mean, you literally got rid of your best pitcher. And if he came back, that'd be pretty nice.
Guys, the reason that you don't want to bring back Merrill Kelly, or that you might not want to bring back Merrill Kelly,
don't say because he's old.
He's going to be 37 in 2 weeks. So he's old, man. He's old. Now, I know the counterpoint is there's not a lot of miles on Merrill Kelly. I mean, there are miles now, but not as much as another 37-year-old pitcher, because he had his time in the Korean Baseball League, came to the MLB a little later, hasn't had, whatever that's worth. But yeah, if you can get him on a friendly deal, I'm okay with it. But again, I mean, with age comes injury concern, comes reduced velocity, which Merrill Kelly's never really been a velocity guy, but things to consider. But I don't think you guys are far off. But that's all I had to talk about for the Diamondbacks. I know we're about an hour 20 here, so we're probably gonna start wrapping up. But fellas, anything else you want to say about the end of the Diamondback season and closing the door on 2025?
No, I'm just ready for postseason baseball, I guess. Am I invested? Do I care? No. I think at this point, the only thing I care about is the Boston Red Sox beating the New York Yankees. So I'll pay attention this week, and then it'll be sayonara to baseball season, because Lord knows we got a lot coming up here, specifically in the Valley, specifically with the Phoenix Suns starting literally this Friday as well. So a lot more things to keep an eye on right now.
Yeah, I'm rooting for anybody but the Dodgers. Slightly, not really invested, but slightly rooting for the Mariners, just for the connections there, obviously.
Well, and then I guess we can root for the Brewers too, right? Because of Nico.
I'll do it for Nico.
Yeah,
I'll do it for Nico. We'll do it for Nico. Yeah. All right, Mike. I know there was a video you sent me yesterday. Tallman's favorite streamer. He is a tier 3 sub. Tallman is. I Show Speed. Took a look.
I don't even know who that guy is. I'm not even lying too.
You might recognize him if you saw him. I Show Speed, sometimes just Speed. He's done he's done races with Tyreek Hill. I think he raced Ashton Hall, if you're chronically online and know who that is. He's as fat. He's quick. He runs fast. That's basically like, he's a streamer who is he has a big personality. Yeah, Mike, how else would you describe iShow speed?
He's a kid, dude. I mean, that's what it really is. I don't even know if he's 21 yet. He's crazy.
That young?
Yeah, he's wild. He's basically kind of that 6'7" generation. Have you guys been seeing that kind of hoopla and hear about those kind of things? The biggest reason why we have to talk about this is because, Lord have mercy, look at this Grand Theft Auto style warehouse. And of course, we always get an ad right when we start to really talk about it.
You gotta love it.
Tallman, I guess this is your chance to talk about the Ryder Cup. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck you, Rory.
But like, look at the shoe wall, guys. I mean, I'd be in heaven right there. But his car catalog of just 1950 Chevys. And at one point, I think Speed talked about how he's like, oh, I bought my dad that same Chevy Coupe de Ville, or like 1996 Chevy or whatever the hell. And I mean, this is just like a next level of rich. Like, when I first saw this, I honestly didn't know how to truly react, because I mean, Book's got like 20 plus cars just sitting right in the middle. I mean, you literally can't drive one of those every day, or you can't drive all of them in a calendar week. But man, I sat down and I watched this. Devin Booker is truly, you can see he's coming to his own as like his personality. Like, he is who he is. He is a chill, calm, laid back dude who can probably kick it with anybody. And, he's about having a good time. But overall, I mean, this isn't even about basketball. I could just see with the energy he was giving within this as well. He's ready to work this year, gentlemen. I think this is going to be one of the biggest seasons from Devin Booker, man. Like, his mentality is really dialed in anything he does. But yeah, I thought this was just cool. I mean, because obviously this is here in the Valley, but like, where the hell do you find this big of a warehouse, man? It's crazy.
Mike, do you know if this is like attached to like his residence, or is this just like a separate like spot he has just for his cars and to fuck around in?
No, I think this is separate. I don't know if it's close to where his home is, because at one point he did reference, he was like, Speed, after being there for a while, he was basically like, man, yeah, I got to get myself a warehouse. And trust me, this kid has enough money to do this exact same thing, because my Lord, him and Kai Cenat are, they have money coming in hand over fist. But Book basically said, he was like, oh yeah, like, you got to get a warehouse, man. You can make it kind of like a Rob Dyrdek's fantasy factory, which also shows me that, we're getting old, because Speed didn't know who that was, and he didn't know what that was at all. But going back to what you were saying, Chris, what Devin said, it was like, and it also keeps people out of your house. So you can kind of centralize people over there. You keep your personal life a little bit more separate, but you also have this cool spot where everybody can come chill and hang out. You can have, huge parties at this place, and you got all the cool amenities. I mean, he had a shuffleboard, ping pong table. I'm sure he had a pool table in there as well. He's got the driving simulator on there too. I mean, this is that kind of stuff. Like, this is a man's fairy tale warehouse right here, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy. And like, the cars, those are like all Coupe de Villes, I'm pretty sure. It's honestly very, very interesting style. And like, Mike, you brought up a good point, like with him coming into his own. Like, he is not trying to be anybody but Devin Booker. And I think that's why, like, we've talked about, like, obviously the basketball side of it and like the impact that Kevin Durant had on him on the court, but off the court, like, it makes sense that they vibe, because Kevin Durant's very much like that as well, as much as like he's going to be himself. Now, Kevin seems to care a lot more what other people have to say, but honestly, not even that much. He just likes to chirp back on him on Twitter. But Booker is so low key. Like, he doesn't even put himself out there on social media that much. And it's crazy. Like, he dated a Kardashian and he still is like, comes off as like a real down to earth guy. So I think he just is like a real personable guy. And I think that's, I'd expect that probably translates on the court in his leadership qualities too. And like it's truly his team now. Like, we kept saying that with, even though KD's here, it's Booker's team. But now it truly is like, no Chris Paul, no Kevin Durant. For what it's worth, no DeAndre Ayton. Like, Devin Booker is that dude, and it's his team now. So I'm excited, man, to at least see that aspect of it. I know I shared some thoughts on Past the Outlet last week about my overall thoughts on and expectations on the upcoming Suns. Guys, this season's going to suck, but hopefully they can get some momentum and have a good 27-28 campaign. But Mike, yeah, that video is super interesting. You guys should go check it out. That's over on iShowSpeed's YouTube channel, I believe. If you type in Devin Booker Warehouse, I'm sure you'll find it. But that's the only plug I'm going to give them. Guys, this is a lot of fun. Love chatting with you guys. Had a whole lot to talk about. Didn't even get to everything going on. But we do this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. This live stream, it's going to go up right after the stream here on YouTube for playback, and tomorrow audio only for your listening pleasure. But fellas, before we get out of here and call it a night, is there anything else you wanted to say to the people or get off your chest? Tallman, why don't we start with Tallman first? He's been a little quiet down there.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was reading about my boy I Show Speed.
Only 20. Crazy. Only 20.
And he pursued a rapping career as well. Came out with the single World Cup. I wonder, Mike, you've probably heard that song.
I have not, but no. I know that he's a big soccer fan. He loves Cristiano Ronaldo, so I imagine that song's about soccer or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. But no, fellas, this is a lot of fun. I guess I just gotta voice my displeasure with the USA Men's Ryder Cup team and how they just came out so flat, and to allow the Europeans to steal the cup on American soil. That's just rough, but hats off to all the fans that gave all the European players hell, because those are some funny stories to read about. And don't get me about the disrespecting the game of golf. I know it's a gentleman's game, right? Blah, blah, blah. But man, that would have been a tournament to go to, man. That's like bucket list shit for me. After watching all that in that environment here, that has now become a bucket list sports event for me. But yep, just sad in the golf world for USA.
Sucks, man. Sucks.
Well, I feel like the Ryder Cup, like, you got to expect to have some kind of rowdiness. It's kind of like waste management, right? Like, to a certain extent, or am I off base with that, Tallman?
No, I think it's just, well, the one guy, I forgot, is it Ian Poulter or whatever? I forgot who the coach was for the European team. But one of the dudes went on a podcast prior with Tyrell Hatton, who's one of the big European players. And he was just talking total shit about, sports fans in America, that we have no class. And basically he came out and said it'd be much better playing golf in America if you could tase one fan per hole. Just being a total asshole. Yeah, unbelievable. He actually said that into a microphone.
That's great.
Yeah, so
is he wrong though?
No, we definitely did not prove him wrong this past weekend. But no, I think it's just it's that patriotism, man, and obviously you mix something that type of sporting event with a lot of people out there early drinking alcoholic beverages. It turns into a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's full of shit, though. I mean, soccer fans are some of the worst people on the planet. Oh, the worst.
That's a good point.
C to C all over the world. They're all terrible. But Mike, the floor is yours. On that note,
I will say, no, it was funny to see, checking around on social media when the U.S. teams were struggling in the duos. And I kept seeing people, send tweets of like, when Bryson DeChambeau has to show up and it's a picture of Robbie Berger of Bob Does Sports. And it's like when Scotty Scheffler has to show up, it's a picture of Joey Cold Cuts. And if you guys have ever watched Bob Does Sports videos, they're not that good of golfers at all. So it just made me chuckle kind of the entire weekend. But the Valley's rocking again, gentlemen. I mean, I already kind of touched on it. Phoenix Suns basketball is literally right around the corner. We are in the midst of the Arizona Cardinals trying to right the ship here as well. I mean, it's a fun time to be a Valley sports fan. It isn't all the time, but when it is, embrace it, man. Embrace it. But always a pleasure, gentlemen.
Yes, always a pleasure, never a chore. Love hopping on here and talking Arizona sports with you guys, getting all caught up. Mike, thank you for taking me to the game this Sunday. I'm very excited. Look forward to breaking that all down with you. Next week, we're going to have another live stream for you. Stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Follow us at AZ_VSP on all socials. For Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we will see you next time. Peace.